Okay, we are on the
We are on
air.
the air. We need a theme song. We should get a theme song.
A theme
A
song.
theme song for Suzilla, which is where you're at. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's Matt,
And Suzie.
and
It's
we're
Matt. It's Suzie. It's Suzilla. No, that'll never do.
no, that's never do.
That'll never
and
do.
we're here in Wenatchee, Washington, in the enrollment center.
Suzie Health Solutions and the Enrollment Center. Yes, we are. We are doing our podcast day, which is Suzilla, of course, and stuff and things and stuff. So, good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Suzie.
Yes, I'm intrigued by this by your topic that you've chosen. So, what is our topic for the day?
Okay, it is living in outrageous joy and prospering.
That's a great title, but that's not quite what I thought. Maybe you've got the same topic, but the title's a little different than what we pitched earlier.
Okay, yeah, because we pitch things back and forth, and we're talking about outrageous joy,
right?
Because there's really two ways someone can run a business, and one way is to make a carbon copy of something that works.
Yes.
And day in, day out, grind it out. Xerox copy, have your 16 pieces of flair, no more, no less.
Yeah.
Tie into that central kitchen so all the food is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And assembly line.
And that works for some folks.
Oh, yeah.
And it works for large restaurant chains, for example. Applebee's and Red Robin. And, yeah.
Yeah, the Xerox thing works.
Yeah.
Up to a point.
If you want to homogenize your service, yeah.
As our son aptly points out, when we tried, it was the box food.
HelloFresh.
I liked HelloFresh too. He, however, was not having any of it because he said it was soulless.
He said it had no soul. He prefers me to, which is weird because I'm cooking. I just have ingredients and I do the cooking, follow the recipe. I'm not sure what the difference was. Maybe the spice blends, maybe.
Because this is.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Although I will give him credit, it did have a different flavor than when I just cook from scratch.
Yeah, but it was very. You got to try HelloFresh. It's perfectly good.
Oh yeah, it's the food's good. The recipes are easy,
but there is a definite feel to it.
Yeah.
And it's very distinct, and I can see where he says, "Okay, that's soulless." I can understand that.
I thought that was a little of an extreme description, but I get where he's at.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the box meal kits out there, so.
Yeah, but there's a certain level of joy and spontaneity to doing things yourself and deviating from the recipe, and I think that's what he was tying in.
Could very well be. I like those because they made whipping out a meal while you guys were at karate practice. I got less than 30 minutes to make a meal, and I could come up with something that was actually good and good for us rather than some, grab a burger situation, because that was just killing us. It was not good for us. It's never good to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. And the importance of, doing that and following it and being in that grind, it's a grind. And we're kind of outside of that when we do our own, because there's so much that we've done that is so off script.
Yes.
If you ever come into our office, and see the Suzie Health Solutions sign in person.
I love our sign.
It's got lights on it. It's flashing. You see, the big old slab of a desk. We got our posters around. It is so unlike any other insurance office I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it isn't. It's not like any insurance office ever. It's us.
And we've made it our own, and at the same time, it's very professional.
It is, and we project professionalism because
Mm-hmm.
we are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
But we also want you to feel comfortable and at home
Mm-hmm.
and feel our whimsy.
Yeah, but that level of constructions of being outrageous and joyful,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, we could have just stripped it down and been DMVA.
Yeah, we could have, and that would have kind of sucked.
It does, but we come in, with the white shirt and the tie, and throw up a generic logo on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It works for some people.
It does. It works great for some people. That is not our personality style, though. It's not.
But there's a certain level of it takes thought away.
The cookie cutter concept?
The cookie cutter
Well,
concept.
yeah, you don't have to spend thought energy on what you're going to wear or
Mhm.
how you're going to decorate the office or those little bits because it's just there already.
And it takes some of the freedom away.
It does.
And that's that takes some of the thought, it takes some of the freedom, and it takes some of the soul.
Yeah. Maybe that's what our office has that people really key into. It's that extra bit of soul.
Oh yeah, because
our office really does reflect us. I mean, you look around and along the top edge, there are little plants.
Mhm.
We got some little cactuses and succulents, and we've got pictures of our kids and of us, and we're I don't know. I mean, we're informal, but we're professional.
Mhm.
But yeah, and that brings me to quote Marie Kondo. It sparks joy in me. It makes me coming to this office. It makes me feel better about the whole situation. I mean, not that I've ever disliked it, but I know that I look up and I can look to my right and see a poster that has Sasquatch on it. I can look and see and know that when I put up these big national park style posters, there's Easter eggs in there intentionally. And that's one of those that was a conscious, joyous decision. I want color. I want interest. I want people to make people look twice at something. And go, oh, that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna blame today's topic on it was a former high school person.
Yep.
Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Who does some makes jewelry, lives on the other side of the nation, and she sent me a ring saying, "Oh, hey, you should get this for your wife."
And I'm sure it's a perfectly lovely ring. It is. I've seen it. It's perfectly lovely, and I appreciate the thought. Thank you. It's really not quite the right style for me. And what that tells me is that Erica doesn't. She knows Matt, but she doesn't know me.
Well,
she knows who Matt used to be.
She knows who I used to be and the core me because she knows I'm thoughtful and I the people I love in my life I treat.
Yeah. I've always said I have to be very careful with what I ask for.
And so that core concept is there. However, lifted and shifted, and I sent her a picture, a snapshot of my current Etsy list for her with all sorts of rings that were about 3 to 4 times the value in a whole lot different style.
Well, yeah, and what that does is, like I said, Erica doesn't know me. We've never met. I don't think we've even ever spoken.
No. She's only made it back to Seattle a couple times, and since we're like 150, 200 miles away, we haven't crossed paths.
We haven't crossed paths much. But she remembered Matt.
Yeah.
She knew he, loved me and likes to treat people that he loves. So she made an offer, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like I said, it's.
I don't want to minimize her offer.
As friends, you can recognize the core. However, my outrageousness has grown.
Yes, it's grown in a different direction.
It's grown in different directions
than when you were a kid.
Than when I was a kid, and we're doing some fairly outrageous things.
Yeah, in a lot of different ways. Of creating our office the way it is could be considered very outrageous.
Yeah.
Having our cars all logoed up could be considered outrageous.
Yeah, because there's some people that are not comfortable with it, and that's that level of outrageous. Because there's outrageous good and there's outrageous over the top.
Yeah, well, and then there's even outrageous bad.
And staying at outrageous for so long, you lose some of it.
Lose some of the freshness of the outrageousness.
Yes.
Outrageousity. Yeah, the outrageous becomes the norm, so it's not outrageous anymore. So you guys have to push harder.
Or push differently.
Which is what we've done.
And, the cars are, we're getting ready to shift the cars because we got to have, our son's getting ready to drive.
And he doesn't need to have one that's all logoed up.
No, but we're going to take him to he's going to go through a couple different driving schools.
Yeah, we're going to take care of him. Don't worry. You won't have to be screaming and running off the sidewalks because he's driving.
No, but yeah, we're even doing the look at, can we get him into a drift course?
You're looking at that. I'm not.
Because that's the kind of level of outrageous I am.
The funny part about that particular sentence is I'm the only one that's actually driven a race car.
I know, isn't that strange?
I know. I'm sorry, that cracks me up every time I think about that. It wasn't. It wasn't actually. I was just, doing some hot lapping. But yeah, of the three of us, I'm the only one that's ever been in a race car.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we kind of tease each other back and forth on this because I come from a family of cars.
Yeah, like more cars. My family is build it, and it's the Thunder cars up at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval, where they're basically cobbled together, tuned up, stock car, literally stock cars, and they're Thunder because they're loud and they're obnoxious and they're dinged up. That's what my family did. We built those.
Yeah, and we're my car section of family comes from my dad's side, who did not necessarily have the ability, but knew people who had the ability and brought them in.
Yes.
He had a great love of Aunt Vera and Uncle Russ, who we spent many time over there. One of the sons actually, was a crew chief for NASCAR.
Oh, wow.
Russ happened to be the Rolls-Royce mechanic in Seattle.
Okay, so
go to.
Very cool.
And their passion and their outrageousness was they rebuilt cars from the frame up.
Oh yeah, and but not for racing purposes necessarily.
No,
this was collector. This was make shiny, pretty, make people go ooh, drive by cars.
Yeah, when Uncle Russ passed, I think it was like 55 Stingray frames.
Oh my gosh!
In his garage.
Oh my gosh! That must have made the Stingray collectors drooling.
Yeah, they were two frames. I think there was like 500 in production or something. It was a ridiculously low number, and so he parked those in his garage as projects.
I would imagine that, like I said, the Stingray collectors, people who do that and do the rebuilds, looked at and heard, because it's a small enough community. They knew when he passed, and they probably started circling like vultures.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say when those moved on.
Well, hopefully Vera got a couple of good dollars for him.
She wasn't hurting. Grandpa McComb, who was in Wenatchee, he was a truck mechanic, and he drove truck, and one of the things he taught my dad how to do was shift without using a clutch.
You can do that?
Yeah, you can do that.
And you won't blow your transmission?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's sound and feel.
Oh, okay.
You get real attuned to it. So like I said, when we get into the nitty gritty of it, yeah, we do cars.
Yeah.
It's like
both sides do cars.
Yeah.
We just do cars differently.
Mm-hmm.
My family, my dad grew up on a farm, literally a farm in North Dakota. So he knew how to, his father taught him how to repair the, the old Chevy truck and tune up the tractor and things like that. That's where his base knowledge came from.
Yeah.
Plus, having, buddies that, you live on a farm, you don't just throw it out and buy a fresh one in the, the 60s. And he and his buddies would put that kind of stuff together. So that's where his base came in. And he brought it on to my brothers. I can change tire. I can change oil. There's some basic things I can do, not the grease monkey that my brothers are.
Yeah.
By any stretch.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I busted my knuckles too many times. Turning a wrench. I'm like, nah, it ain't my lifestyle.
Well,
I can appreciate it.
I always appreciated it, and I was there to cheer them on many, many times, and continue to rah for them. But the fact is, it wasn't my bag.
No,
and that's okay. Not everything is designed for everybody, but you support the people you love regardless.
Yes, and however, one of the things that we did early on was, and you had great joy in doing and being outrageous, was taking the Lancer up over 100.
Yeah, that was fun.
And that was one of your goals, was to drive over 100 miles an hour.
Yes, and it was our first trip to the Midwest. I wanted my family to meet Matt, basically.
Yeah.
It was our first anniversary, and I really wanted to see if I could get that car going. We were in Montana or something like that.
The Montana Bond,
and I pushed it over 100. I think I did the same thing with the Mitsubishi.
They're both Mitsubishis.
Well, no, but the Outlander.
And that's part of our outrageousness.
I drive fast in straight lines.
And we've got cars that are capable of doing that.
That's right, and not lose control. But, I'm never doing it unsafely. Well, okay, driving over 100 is unsafe, but I'd never do it when there's traffic or if there's a cop nearby. So I'm not a complete idiot, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, outrageousness. It's like, yeah, we've got they're really normal looking cars with logos, and I drive really grandpa-ish.
He really does. He gets on my case on a regular basis.
I do.
He does.
And it's amusing because everyone's assumes that I'm the lead foot.
No, I am.
But that's part of, we're not living that stereotypical life.
No, we're really not, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It makes things a lot more interesting. And I've always been kind of inclined to get in my rut and not move out of it. It's hard for me to I'll get comfy and not shake things up in my life, just because that's how I protect myself.
It's a good way to continue a path.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I get stale. No, I'm checking to see I'm not sure what time it is because I don't want to turn the open sign off.
Oh, don't worry about it.
See, it's Alexa.
Okay.
I'm not looking at anything interesting.
Okay. Because one of the things I slapped her hands last week was hey,
I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Yes,
I know I was distracted, and I acknowledged it and moved on.
So yes, being outrageous and joyful, you can do things that are different. You live differently. That was one of the things that struck me when Bruce Springsteen talked about the presidency. The previous administration, on how they took all the joy out.
Yeah, kind of sucked it right out of the room.
And all that was left was this bitter angerness. And it's like, yeah, we don't live that way.
No.
And
we as a family don't.
We as a family, and we kind of promote the people around us to have that same joyful outrageousnings.
I think one of the things I do really want to be clear about is when Matt uses the word outrageous, he doesn't mean giant events and things all the time. Sometimes being outrageous is just stopping and getting a fancy coffee.
Oh yeah, it's something out of the ordinary.
Something that just kind of shakes up your world a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That gives you some joy.
Well, here's one thing that could be considered a little bit outrageous. Um, I finally got a chance to get my Army ring.
Yes.
I've been out for almost 30 years.
Yes, and he never had any kind of jewelry to indicate that he was a veteran.
And I because I had for years socked away money for other projects and just neglected it, and it was always on my to-do list. People talk of a bucket list.
Yes.
And it was on my list to do, and I finally managed to do it. It took Justin's
a good 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it was not a short period of time.
I have no idea why it took them so long, other than Justin's just does. Well, they're the ones that do class rings, so maybe they're just that
class rings. Well, they got it. It takes a lot because there's a lot of different dyes.
Oh, that's true, and they do have to customize to certain degrees.
Yeah, it's I want to say like six different steps of customization.
Oh.
So it's not a simple, oh hey, pick this one out there. No, it's got my crossed infantry rifles. It's got my CIB. It's got my unit enameled on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a lot of different components to it, and it's what I wanted.
Yeah, and you've wanted it for decades.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, so do you got anything on your bucket list that you haven't knocked off recently?
I don't have I still want a new mattress.
Yeah.
But that's not a bucket list item.
Yeah, that's a to-do thing, and it's probably going to happen in a couple
weeks. I don't really
weeks.
have a bucket list.
And that's what people don't understand. It's like, yeah, there's a couple things that are, out there to kind of end cycle for me.
I don't have much of those. If I do, they're not conscious. I don't really have there's a few things that I've always kind of, I don't know. I never really give it much thought.
Well, I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. You got a headstone for your mom and dad.
That's true. I guess that could be considered that. That was a couple 3 years ago.
Yeah, but that was something that was kind of haunted you when your father passed.
Yeah, that never got done.
It never got resolved, and you were able to complete that cycle.
Yeah. Like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago when that occurred. We happened to be in a state financially that we could extend that out and do that.
We made it happen. And I was glad for that. That was just one less thing hanging over, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess you could. I did get my new tattoo this week. I guess you could say that's one of those things because this is an illustration that's been in my head for 25 years.
Yeah, and how many 50-year-olds are out there getting tattoos?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like the 50-year-olds getting tattoos aren't from something that they thought of 25 years ago.
No, probably not. No.
So that's pretty outrageous.
Okay. It's cute.
It is cute.
It's a cute
and that's in that level of joy and passion. I mean, it was kind of amusing to watch this process because she got to explain to Lexi, the whole thought process behind the tattoo.
Which Matt did not know. I had never said it out loud to anybody. Nobody knew why this tattoo, what the symbology. He didn't even know what the tattoo was.
Uh-huh. Well, no, you told me what the tattoo was.
Only like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I've been brewing on this for decades.
Yeah.
And he didn't know the symbology behind it. He didn't know why I wanted what I wanted it and what the story behind it was.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of getting it, I felt like it was time to say it. Yeah.
And now she's got a piece that she can show off, and which leads us to something important that we're doing that's very outrageous.
Yes, it is.
And that is Suzie is making her professional debut across the country.
I don't know if debut is the right word.
And she's going to the soup conference.
Yes, the insurance soup is a Facebook group of 40,000 or so people, and we get together and we talk about, we have advice for each other about insurance, and we have questions, and we have mentors, and we have conversations and fun.
That's the big part, fun.
Yeah.
that joy there.
And tacos.
We're actually in a couple of different subcategories.
Oh yeah, it started with insurance soup.
It sort of.
Okay.
Sort of. What Mike and I believe it was Brian did was they created it's a mastermind group.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Well, that's actually a very technical term of doing it.
No, man, I know.
Because there's mastermind groups for different industries. They happen to focus on soup and build things, and it's kind of evolved because we became members fairly early to soup. Then probably a year or two into the soup, we're like, hey, we gotta be part of. At that time, it was the CIA, CAC.
Career Agent Concepts.
Career Agent Concepts.
Right, which is a program to help you build your agency.
Which has got some very good tools.
Right.
And we looked at, and we've only been able to scratch the surface of it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's that mastermind. I mean, we've only been able to scratch the surface.
And we glean crap out of it all the time.
Oh yeah, on a regular basis. It's kind of amazing. I mean, to give you an example of the importance of associations, of having these joy-filled groups that you're able to bounce ideas and concepts off of. We grew last year 100%.
Yeah, we basically doubled our business.
Yeah, and that to do that as a business
of two people,
this next open enrollment will be my 10th.
Yep.
So that kind of tells you where we're at in maturity levels, and being able to double that business is kind of incredible. Yeah. Because we weren't doing bad.
No, not by any stretch. We kind of blew up though last year.
Yeah, last year.
There were some extenuating circumstances. Yeah. Plague and stuff.
And having that joy-filled group, and Susie's going to go down there, and I think the first section of outrageousness was the tickets, because that was one thing I had to ask you about. Hey, do you want the VIP?
And my first instinct, because I'm a big cheapskate, is no,
because it's about 3 times as much.
Yeah. Than a general admission ticket.
Than a general admission, and we looked at it, and it was what sold you on it?
Your passion.
Okay.
I know that I am representing you, and this is something that you would do in a drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. So I had to put your hat on.
See,
I'm not just representing us, but we've made it very clear that Matt's going to stay home while I'm in Texas, which is weird in its own right.
It is. And RJ was like, oh, I'll mind the shop. And I'm like, look, we got a 15-year-old in high school. We know better. Yeah. We know better. Just had to do that.
But either way, we made it work. And I just knew that if he's going to live vicariously through me, which is what exactly he's going to be doing, is that I want to make sure that he's, that was part of it.
Oh yeah.
I just.
Well, that was part of it, but
you didn't quite get why I relented so easily, did you?
I figured some of it is because you wanted to meet these folks in person and have a dinner.
That's part of it, yeah.
Because and here's the thing, and we're going to be joking about this for months.
Yeah.
Because and the joke is they're going to feed her rubber chicken.
It's Texas. I'm going to be in Arlington, Texas.
Going to be in Arlington, Texas. These guys are big, freaking carnivores.
Yeah.
Carnivores.
Will it be a rubber chicken meal?
And it's industry. It's not feel good, benefit dinner. If there's not, high quality steaks on the list, they will never hear the end of it.
Nope.
And part of the thing, and this is the part of the fun of it, is there's like I think 500 slots for other folks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the insurance industry, yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah, totally.
They got a taco bar run by Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
So Suzie gets to go to Flavortown before me.
That's not my fault. But yeah, it's going to be over Cinco de Mayo. I am going to be in Texas eating tacos on Cinco de Mayo.
Guy Fieri tacos.
Guy Fieri tacos, which is not exactly, it's Guy Fieri.
Mm-hmm.
It's not legit tacos. It'll be tasty tacos.
I'm sure they'll be tasty.
But they're not going to eat that.
I'm sure that your mom looking down on you from heaven would be laughing her butt at.
Probably.
At that whole experience.
Probably, yes.
But yeah, she's going there. She's got a suite at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
She's, it was the $100 more I could fly first class.
Yeah, I'm going to fly first class.
We've never flown first. Never. She's like, I haven't flown since 9/11.
Since before, yeah. Last time I flew was before September 11, 2001. It's been that long since I've flown.
Mm-hmm.
I got a wide butt. First class is going to be much more comfortable for me.
Oh yeah, it's like, I can plug in my electronics and have them charged along the way.
Yeah, they have 110 outlets on the airlines. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that level of outrageousness.
And yeah, this is this is totally outrageous. And it's not, I'm going to make every second of it count.
Yeah. And it's going to be a good time.
And I'm going to hate that you're not going to be with me, but I'm going to do I'm going to do some live streaming. You're going to see.
Susie's going to do some live streaming, and she's going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yep.
And we will leave it there because our neighbor walked by and
he's going to want his packages.
He's going to want his packages.
All right. So you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. So live outrageous and enjoy.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.